There are places where life goes on against everything, where death is afraid to enter and people are afraid to leave. Villages, cities, whole worlds stuck between breath and silence. Why do the dolls become alive when there are no more people? Why did the Norwegians forbid death as if it could be stopped by law? And why do some nations keep the dead close together as if life had not ended at all? Today, I'll show you 5 places where you can't die, and where, to be honest, you can live too. If you're interested in what happens where the boundaries between life and death are erased, sign up. Because today, we're going to go where even silence is another breath. Japan. In the mountains of Tokushima Prefecture, there is a village where less than 100 are alive and thousands are dead, but they still look. From the houses, from the shops, from the windows of old schools, the eyes of the dolls who were once called by their names. Once there was a lot of life here. People grew rice, gathered vegetables, children ran along the paths, and old people sat at temples and drank tea. But time has passed, and the young are with him. There are only old photos, locked houses, and a woman named Ayano Tsukuni. She could not look at the empty streets and began to bring back people from clothes, clothing, and memory. She made dolls like the ones that used to live here. Workers, students, neighbors, even her father. First dozens, then hundreds. Now there are more than 400 of them. They sit behind desks, waiting for a bus, working in the field. They say the village whispers at night, that the dolls do not just look, they listen, that the wind, passing between the houses, carries not only leaves, but also the voices of those who are long gone. Ayano says that he does all this to make life in the village again. But if I look at the faces of the dolls, it seems that life here never left. It just became softer and stopped breathing. After Nagoro, it seems that death is just a part of life. But there is a place where it is forbidden to exist. They don't put crosses, dig graves, or whisper prayers of forgiveness. Because you can't die here. Svalbard, a small town of Longyearbyen lost in the eternal ice where winter lasts almost all year. Here, the polar day is followed by an endless night, and the sun disappears for months. But the main feature of this place is not in the climate, and in its law, to die here is forbidden. When in the middle of the last century, scientists discovered the old cemetery, they were terrified. Bodies buried decades ago did not decompose. The eternal frost preserved them like ice, flesh, clothes, even traces of disease. But the most terrible thing was inside. The viruses that slumbered in the bodies of the dead were alive. Death here does not go away. It just sleeps under the surface. After that, the authorities decided if a person is seriously ill, they send him to the mainland. In Longyearbyen, they do not bury him. No cemeteries are built. The city lives without death. Locals say that there is no smell of peat, only cold, sharp as the breath of mountains. But sometimes, when the wind comes from the old cemetery, it brings a strange taste of iron, as if someone there, under the layer of ice, is still breathing. But if in Norway death does not come at all, here it simply does not go away. High in the mountains of Indonesia, among clouds and rice terraces, live the people of Toraja. For them, the dead are not dead. It's just people who have temporarily stopped breathing. When someone dies, they don't bury the body. They take them home. Relatives wash, dress, talk to him, feed, leave a place at the table. There are still voices in the house, children playing next to them, and the dead person is lying in a corner, quiet as if he were just sleeping. For Toraja, death is not a point, but a comma. Until the funeral ceremony has been held, the person is considered alive. He is called that Michel, which means sick. And until the family collects enough funds for a lavish ceremony, he stays with them, weeks, months, sometimes years. When the time comes, the body is taken out of the house and carried to a rock where tombs are carved. There, high above the ground, awaits him a wooden figure, an exact copy of the deceased. He looks at the valley with the same eyes. Once every few years, relatives take out the bodies from the tombs, change their clothes, comb their hair, and carry them back through the village. It's a holiday. They say, "We just want to meet again." For us, it seems impossible. But in their world, death does not divide. It connects. Maybe that's why no one here is afraid of old age. In the heart of France, among the hills of Burgundy, stands the castle of Mont. From the outside, it seems ordinary. Stone towers, moss on the walls, narrow windows in which the sun reflects. But inside its silence is special, the one in which you can't even hear your own heart. Locals call it a sleeping house. At one time, the travelers stopped here and did not stand anymore. People simply went to bed and did not wake up. Ancient records say that the curse began with the mistress of the castle, the Marquise de la Roche. She suffered from insomnia and prayed to sleep without fear for once. The next morning, she was found dead with a light smile on her face. After that, the nights in the castle were different. People complained that they felt heavy, as if someone sat down on their chest. And in some rooms, you heard the breath, as if someone was sleeping next to you. Then the lock was empty. No one wanted to live in a house where sleep turns into eternity. But those who came here later, researchers, tourists, photographers, said the same thing. The air here is as thick as before a thunderstorm. And if you linger, the body becomes heavy. Eyelids droop themselves. Scientists explain everything by the poisonous vapors of old paints and mold. But in Mons, no one stays overnight to check, because those who tried it did not tell anymore. Maybe the curse is just a legend, or maybe this is one of those places where sleep and death have long since ceased to distinguish borders. Borneo. Deep in the jungle is the hidden cave of Gomantong, one of the most sinister places on the planet. Outside, just a rock, overgrown with vines. But if you step inside, everything around it comes alive. The vaults of the cave are covered with millions of bats and insects. They dangle in black mass like a dense tissue, and when someone enters, the wave moves across the ceiling like the breath of a monster. The floor is slippery from guano, the poop, which lies here in a meter-long layer. In it, life moves. Thousands of cockroaches, worms, spiders. Every step sounds like a burst. The smell is acidic, heavy, like rotting blood. But people come anyway. Locals gather here swallow shelter, a rare delicacy, which is worth more than gold. They climb up on ropes under the very ceiling in the darkness, where the air chirps from the wings. Sometimes the ropes tear, sometimes just disappear in the dark. Legends say that the cave is the mouth of the earth, that everything that falls into it becomes part of the living. And under the bottom, behind layers of feces and bones, there are old artifacts that no one can get to, because nobody goes down there twice. Scientists say there is a unique ecosystem, but those who have been inside say that when you stand in the dark and hear millions of tiny creatures rustling around you, it feels like the cave is breathing, and she breathes not in the air, but in you. The world used to divide everything into living and dead, but there are places where this division does not work, where death is not scary, because it just changed shape, where people continue to live alongside those they have lost, and even laws cannot stop what is stronger than man. We are afraid of death, but it is always near, in the walls, in the ground, in ourselves. And maybe it's not so bad, because if she lives nearby, then we're still alive to understand it. Sign up if you want to see other places where boundaries are blurred and understand where life really ends and what goes after it begins.